So I'm excited to have this conversation, and I'm excited that you're the first one that I'm doing this with because
Ooh,
we're kind of doing the same stuff right now.
yeah.
So I want you to introduce yourself just quickly and just like tell folks like what are you doing right now?
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Nicole St. Germain. I have, for the last year, been running customer success jobs, which is a newsletter where I just curate the best CS jobs that I can find. I am literally coming up on my 1 year anniversary of doing this, so that's exciting. And things have changed a lot, but also stayed a lot the same. Basically, my philosophy is this: like, I focus on fully remote jobs that post a salary, jobs that don't have like freaking nonsense job descriptions, and just make it easy because I personally was feeling like job boards did not know what customer success was.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were putting it in support, they were putting it in sales, like depending on the person, they did not know what customer success was, and I could not find roles. So I was like, God, I'm sure other people are facing this. Let me take the time to pull it out, and then no one else has to waste their time. That was basically the behind why I started. And I used to work at a newsletter company, so my thought is always newsletter. That's the
Yeah.
only way I know how to do anything.
I think that's really funny. Someone in like last year or so said to me like no one reads newsletters, and I'm like it's changing. I think over a long period of time that was true, that people, because it feels like spam sometimes, like your inbox is full of stuff all the
Totally.
time, which is your own fault because you sign up for a million things.
Everything. Yeah.
But I'm I've been a newsletter girly since I was a kid. I This is not embarrassing at all. I don't even care. I used to get our AOL account suspended every other week because I was sending in sync newsletters to strangers.
I love
People I did not
that.
know. It was like, here's 30 pictures of JC Chazet. You're welcome.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Get me on
And
that list.
eventually started doing like, you remember those like dolls that you used to be able to make
I
in
love those
builders?
so much.
Stuff like that. And I was like, I love emailing strangers. I'm 13 years old on the internet and there are no internet laws yet.
Why not?
And yeah, it's fine. But I love newsletters and I love that they're coming back. I like them more than blogs, but the way that they work now is kind of like a
It's like a
blog.
blog, exactly. I think we're like blog, I don't know, 3.0 maybe at this point,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where Substack and Beehive, which we
Yeah,
use,
we
is
use, yeah.
basically a hybrid. Like you have the newsletter, you have the post, and
And it took me
sometimes,
a minute to realize that
yeah,
because I was really just using it as an email platform. I'm like, wait, I can like post stuff
right,
without emailing people, and then I can link back to it in the email. And that's great.
exactly. Yeah, and the not to get too into it, but the SEO is like really good. Like
Great.
I have not the structure. It's a lot easier than the back in the days of using WordPress or definitely like Squarespace.
MailChimp, yeah.
Yeah, like it's
Squarespace. I don't even want to
oh,
talk about
just
Squarespace's
sorry for
email
the trigger
feature.
trauma.
Bruh.
But yeah, I just feel like I would say I get a lot of people who click the web post version and then end up subscribing, and or most of my clicks are reading the web post too, so like they get the email but they want to go read it on the web because it's an easier experience.
Yeah.
So
Do
um
you, and this is so in the weeds, and I don't care, do you get activity from the app?
no, now you're
Wait,
like triggering something. There's an app.
there's an app so you can turn your newsletter into an app.
Oh my
And
god, I
so
need to do that.
people can download the app and then they get like a push notification when you publish.
Okay, no, I think I have it off.
I've never advertised it and I've never checked to see if people download it because I don't know if there are metrics for that. But for me, like that's the best way for me to be alerted because my inbox looks insane. But
Yeah.
whenever I publish, I get a push notification like Professional Helpers Weekly Job Job.
Okay. No, I don't think I have it on. I wasn't even
Yeah,
considering.
turn it on.
Yeah, I will.
It's a great option. So you're doing the success newsletter and we go back like you're a customer success professional.
Hmm.
How did you like did how did you get into success? Was that deliberate? Did you trip into it?
Yeah. I I was a retail girl, like store management track at Toys R Us and Babies R Us, RIP. And I moved to Seattle from Arizona and desperately needed a job. I was like 6 months unemployed, and one of the things that was keeping me sane was I got really into like the online passive income community.
Mm-hmm.
Got on like Gumroad, which used to be this massive company with a lot of people and marketing and all of that, was running this challenge to create a digital product. And so I joined their group and I met a ton of people. ConvertKit was like their lead sponsor.
Mm.
I just like dove in, started helping people set up. Like it just was like all totally passion, love. Like this is really interesting to me. Back to that, the newsletter starts
Yeah.
early, and they were hiring their first support person. And I was like, hire me, please. So I came on board. I was like working 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. because that's what they needed. And just like for the love of the game in intercom all day, like going
Yeah.
through tickets.
Yeah.
And I think, so I was like employee number 6. I
Wow.
think like by being there at that time, I had this opportunity to keep like trying new things. We bring in new leadership, or the company's growing and it's like we need to do this now. We need to do, onboarding, implementation. We called it migrations. We need to scale it. We need to scale support. We need to start thinking about account management. I got an opportunity to work on all of those things really early.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I had a really great director of customer success who really made sure to position us. Like he helped, and this is something I tried to like have passed on to because it was so important at the time. Is he was like, you need to be prepared to leave this company with like a title and responsibilities and being able to speak to something beyond customer support. And so he was very thoughtful about like helping me build that background. And so then
That's awesome.
yeah, like I credit that a lot. And I mean, also, I think the time to market because I left in 2018. So it was like the perfect time to walk in because I basically walked into a customer success manager role without necessarily like with this big background, with this kind of
Mm-hmm.
non-traditional, like I did not go, most of the people I knew were like SDRs first,
Mm-hmm.
and walked into CSM, so I was able to
Oh,
come
that's
in from this other
interesting.
position.
I've
Yeah.
never, I don't know that I've ever seen that. Sometimes I see it the other way around, where people will come into success from like sales or something,
Yeah.
retail, um, and then become SDRs and then become AEs.
Hmm.
So that's an interesting path that I hadn't thought about.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a little bit, I mean, it was a sales
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
automation platform. So maybe there's a little bit of a bias there, but a lot of the people I worked with were SDRs who did not want to chase
Yeah.
quota, who didn't know any other path. So like a CSM was a good way to leverage some of that skill set without having to be selling all the time. Although I'm sure now looking at a CSM role, they're like, it's what's the difference between a
It's
CSM and an
yeah,
AE at this point? I
yeah,
guess
there's go to market, which
the
is like
paycheck, but
completely different, but
right.
you
Yeah.
know. And so you moved into that leadership position.
Oh, sorry. So from there, I moved into CSM,
Got it.
just straight up like work in my book. And that was at Outreach, which is a Seattle company. So I went from ConvertKit was remote, Outreach is in office downtown Seattle, and it was like a very different experience because ConvertKit was bootstrapped. Outreach was fully VC backed. Like very, I think at the time I joined, we were a unicorn. So it's like a very different culture. And it was a good exposure to like the two sides of the coin of startups because they both call
Yeah.
themselves a startup, and it's like these places could not be more different. And so it's just very interesting. But there, yeah, so there I was just like straight up CSM until I fully burned out in 2022. And I was like, I just have to, I can't keep doing this. It was obviously a rough time in the world. And I think, you know, as much as the great experience I had at ConvertKit, there was also some like very emotional experiences at being employee number 6, seeing
Yeah,
it
I'm
change so
sure.
much, coming in from like passion, and I didn't really process that. I just kind of got out. So it all hit me, I think, in 2022, and I was like, I have to get out of here. And I left just without a plan, without anything. And literally, like 3 weeks after, an old boss at ConvertKit, not the same one I was talking about, but a different one, reached out and was like, hey, I'm at this new company. Could be an interesting opportunity for you. And it was basically like blank page. We need to do customer success. We don't have anyone doing it. We don't know what that looks like. Come in and create that. And so that's what I was doing for the next, 3 years.
So I feel like this feels like a out of left field question
Hit me.
based on based on what we've been talking about, but I'm always curious about this because I've never done a specifically success role. I've worked with
Mm-hmm.
success people as client.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, what do you feel like are skills that are like absolutely essential to do that specific kind of.
So and I say this a lot, I think anyone can be a customer success manager. You can come at it from so many different angles. And you need different CSMs with different skill sets to have a good
Mhm.
team. Basically, so coming from support to success and knowing other people who did the same thing, I think the biggest issue or the biggest like learning opportunity was establishing boundaries with the customer, being able to actually position yourself as an expert, as a consultant, and not there to serve them.
Mhm.
They are not, in fact, it's like a kindness to not like just defer to them all the time because they're going to use the product wrong or they're not going to get what they want out of it if you don't be this like strategic partner. Versus somebody who's like, oh yes, whatever you say, like no problem, we'll
Yeah.
take care of that. Like you have to, I call it like boss behavior is what I would tell my team, which is I was like, you cannot be available 24/7, 10 minutes response time. Like you cannot fall to any request. Like you have to hold a little bit firm with them. Because they need to believe that they can trust you with the strategy, not just trust you to like clean up after them with the dustpan,
Yeah.
basically.
That's so
Um,
I just, I just there must be like degrees of like nightmare clients. I put myself in the nightmare client category because I'm very hard to reach. As a client,
mm-hmm.
like you're like, oh, Ashley, let's schedule our QBR. I'll get to this email in like two
Yeah,
weeks. I'm so
radio
sorry.
silence.
Yeah, versus like the person who really wants hand holding
Yeah,
to like not even figure out what to do, but for you to kind of use the product for them.
right.
Yeah, that's I
Yeah,
don't I only think about it when I know I'm being bad. But yeah.
I think it's I just think you like this like reactive mindset of like, oh my gosh,
Mm,
first of all, you don't need as a CSM, you don't need your client to like you. You need them to like respect you. And that's like the liking part will come. It's just hard for the people who are like people
yeah.
pleasers or like they're like, no, I need to be nice. And I'm like,
Which
no,
is
you
like
need to
most
be
people in
kind.
customer facing roles.
Yes.
Most people won't pick a customer facing role if they're not like a tiny bit of a people pleaser.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be fighting that. But I think, like, beyond that, I do think you have to really be thinking about. I know it's like an overused term. I don't know what other way to say it, but you do have to be thinking about value. Like at the end of the day, your job is to keep a contract. The contract's already been sold and you have to keep it. And if they do not think they are getting value for the money that they've put in, they'll leave. And so you have to always be pitching value, demonstrating value, like thinking about how they're perceiving value, if they have a problem. Like a lot of times people don't know their own problem. I think this is something that support people figure out how to do really well is like people don't know what they need or they don't know what they're asking for,
Yeah.
but you
They
can
make an
figure it out.
assumption about what they want, and then you have to
Exactly.
spend some amount of time like deciphering it or actually looking at the problem and then figuring out how to word it in a way to make it seem like that is what they asked for.
Yes.
So you're not arguing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, make it seem like it was their idea or like, and I mean, you gotta you're not going to get a lot of credit for things with your like that's the thing about a CSM. Your point of contact is usually, I mean, depending on the app, depending on the product,
Got it.
your point of contact is like an ops manager or something like that, where like you have to make them look good. Like they shouldn't. Their boss shouldn't really know about you or care about you. Like you just have to give them the tools, which again I think is like generally pretty easy to do when you come from some kind of customer facing background. You already have the like humility and ego death to be able to do
Yeah.
that. But that is like a big part of it is like this is their show. You're just like a tool in their toolbox basically for their job.
Yeah. We last time we talked a little bit about this, or I think we generally talked about like AI, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious, like just like in the landscape of success in particular, because I don't really know what tools are being aimed at success specifically. Like I really only see the support things.
Right.
So I'm really curious, just like as the success landscape kind of evolves, what are like the biggest changes you've seen and what do you feel like is coming?
Yeah, I mean, I think where the world that we're in right now is every success based platform, like a gain site, for example, is gonna honestly has had AI in some way baked in
Yep,
for years.
automation, whatever, yeah.
Exactly. Like there has been something there already that people have already been relying on. And now I think we do see like little, either that's being marketed a little bit more or they are adding maybe something that's a little bit more obvious or God, every app has a rewrite with AI
Yeah,
little, notice, whatever.
yeah,
And I think that like I see a lot of conversation that's like CSMs have to learn to leverage AI or get left behind, and it's just like,
yeah.
what do you mean by that exactly? Because what exists right now that's new or novel for a CSM to be able to leverage? When you say you want your teams to be leveraging AI more, what do you mean by that
Yeah.
exactly?
And
Because
I want to know the background of the people who are saying things like that. Like, are you a person who works in success, or are you a person who hires people for success teams and doesn't do that work? Are you saying that our jobs are at jeopardy because you're not going to hire or keep people who
right.
like don't learn to use these tools? Or like what is it?
I have seen both. I think like it's the maybe people who are like a little bit in our starting to come over in our space, like the CSM career coach kind of vibe.
Yeah,
I see that from them a
yeah,
lot too. And I guess I just think like ultimately I'm like I think AI is when people say AI, when an executive says, I want you to use AI, they don't even know what they mean.
You're right. That is
Um,
correct.
and that's what I think is like that's what I think people are trying to figure out. Because what are you going to do? Ask your CEO or ask your VP? Like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Yeah,
Like,
yes. Yeah, I would. That's why I don't have a job.
yeah, I mean, I feel for the person that's like, let me show that I'm using AI in some way,
Yeah,
but I
it's a
don't see it
strategic
to be
conversation
meaningful.
though, right? Like
Yeah,
if it's coming from like the C-suite or something and say, we want you to like incorporate AI into your job, into your role, into your org. The pushback is hard if you're leading that organization. But just doing it is bad for your team and bad for your clients or your customers, right? So
right.
there's a dance and you've got to learn the dance and the conversation to have like, well, here are the tools that exist for me to use. What problem do you want me to solve? Versus like, why am I just putting AI in? Like, I need to understand what problem you want me to solve. Because I do like to hear them say out loud, we want less headcount. I want them to say it.
Which I
That's
think
usually
is
what
a
it is.
huge motivating factor.
Yeah,
Like at the end of the would are there executives who would love absolutely nothing more than to say we replaced our entire CSM team with, a GPT or some like little bot that can take care of everything. That's their goal. And I think some people are maybe on their way of trying to implement it. I
for sure.
think that would
And
be a
thinking about that for
failure.
CSMs
Yeah.
sounds crazy.
I
That like cannot work. Like
Customer
I've seen it for
success.
support and I don't think it's good, but like for success, like I need a person.
Well, customer success is maybe generously 25 years old. I mean, yes, you can say account management
It's
existed
a
before
mountain. Yeah,
that,
yeah,
well, sure. But
yeah.
customer success is maybe 25 years old in the modern concept, and we still don't have a formula that you can apply to every company that guarantees you're going to get your renewal. Like, it is so, every single CSM, even the best ones, are spending the end of quarter chasing down somebody that should have been a sure thing or fell through the cracks or like the system missed them because it's just not a formulaic role. It's not something you can say definitively this is the reason somebody is leaving, this is the reason somebody is not renewing. It's just not, and it requires human brain function,
Yeah.
and it requires relationship building, somebody who has known somebody for years to be like, hey, like, let's really get into why this is happening. So I think that if we're down the road of let's replace CSMs with AI, we will be coming back up the road with let's get people back in here pronto. Um, but I don't like that's where I feel like we're at right now is it's like people don't really know what they want. They don't really know what they mean when they say AI. It's kind of more of a like get on this wave. And I don't think there's been any meaningful innovation in AI for CS.
For CS. Yeah.
Beyond like, sure, figure out how to write a good prompt, use it to help you with some things, but I just don't I don't think that that is going to make the difference other than how you're perceived by leadership, which is
Yeah.
important.
This is not an endorsement from either of us for anyone to go out and build a CSM AI tool. But we're not
No,
asking for that.
no,
We're not asking for that.
I don't think it's needed.
No.
Honestly, I don't. Like, I think the tools that exist are good and also hard enough to use. Like, when I was at Outreach, I was like, I mean, Outreach is sort of it's for sales, but it sort of gets you some of the way there of like health tracking and
Look at health
has like
score, yeah.
sequences and stuff. But I was like, can we get like a gain site or something where like how are we supposed to manage all these people just off the top of our heads? And they're like, we can't because our data isn't good enough to put in
Ah,
something like Gainsight.
that hurt my feelings so much. Imagine terrible data and you want to fix things. That hurt my feelings so much. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I will take the leader who's like, we're not ready for this,
yeah.
than
Yeah.
the one who rushes into it. But it is like that is like the reality is these CS tools still require some kind of maturity in your revenue tracking, your data, etc., that may not exist for a long time. So even then, the best tools are still take a while to onboard. Sorry for the trick.
Good. So okay, so you're working on the newsletter now.
Yes.
Do you want to do that full time? Are you looking for jobs? Like what kind of stuff are you like what does the future like look like for you career wise?
Yeah, I mean that those are the questions. I think that so I've been on my own for a year and a half now. So out of not working for anyone, which is ups and downs. It's roller coastery
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But I think in this moment, I can't imagine myself going back. It's really difficult to, because I've always been like, maybe you can relate to this. I've always been bumping up against something. Like, I'm kind of a fighter. Like, I'm very passionate and I
Yeah.
have a lot of like strongly held beliefs, and that is
Sometimes
very
people don't like that.
grating
Yeah.
on leadership.
And it eventually I think we hate to admit this. It does become grating on ourselves,
Oh, I don't want to be
right?
like that. Like sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
I would love to just sit down and shut up.
And chill and just deal with it.
Yes.
But my brain won't let me.
Right. Yeah, like it's hard to.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think like part of the reason I left when I left ConvertKit was I felt like there was very few people left that didn't just want to be like, Nicole, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think that's necessarily true. I think people, like, now that I'm very much more removed from it, but that's how I felt. I was like, every
Yeah.
time I open my mouth, it's like I'm being negative or I'm like too big for my britches or what have you. And I was like, I can't care this much anymore and get
Yeah.
not far enough. And so going into, from that point on, I took this approach of the next jobs that I took, which was I was like, I'm gonna care less. I'm gonna sit back. Like I'm not gonna and then there's always a couple times where I'm like, well, I
You just
failed
can't help it. You
that
just can't help it.
mission.
Yeah.
But I do think I did remove something a little bit that also didn't feel good either. Where like I was like in my last role, I was leading our customer success function. I was leading our sales function too. And like there was just this part of me that was like, I don't like so it's like an app for Shopify stores. And there's something about e-commerce that I was like, it's nice because it's just like transactional. Like no one's pretending to save the
E-commerce
world.
is great.
Yeah,
Like
no one's pretending to save
it's
the
so
world,
easy.
what have
It's
you.
so chill.
But then
It's
there
not
was a little
it's
part of
chill
me.
for us. Like the customers aren't always chill, but it's like such an easy transactional thing to
There's
do.
just your customers are not like, I'm trying to save the world here. Which I have had that conversation with several people, and I'm like, I love the energy. I don't agree. But so there is something, I do think I need something somewhere in between. Like I need a
Yeah.
little bit more passion from the purely transactional. I need a little more like acknowledgement of capitalism from the like heart-centered
Yeah.
creators or what have you. So like that's where and I feel like I can strike a good balance where I'm at right now, which is I really try to be like I'm on the side of job seekers, like I'm on the side of candidates. I think that the job market is broken and I want to talk about that. I also think like there's a point of diminishing returns in sitting around and bitching about that. Like we have to just get up and go, even though it sucks. Like the whole world is structured like this. Like we just have to keep going if we want to be able to survive. And so it's like trying to strike that balance of like, I'm going to be real with you. But like I'm on your side.
There's only so much bitching you can do about it until you're not even being constructive about it.
Right.
Like, which is why, and I think you, me, and Steph would have great conversations about this. But like, I think she and I have gotten to a place where our bitching is constructive at the same time.
Yeah.
And she does such a good job of helping people understand like how to be really critical of the roles that you're applying for. And I think you do this really well in your newsletter. Like I'm often just too tired to be super nitpicky, but you have like very specific criteria that you follow for your roles.
Yeah.
My criteria are, does this sound insane?
I do
Is this
think,
for a company that I wouldn't work for? Great, because then
yes,
I will post it.
there's a line. I mean, it's hard. I've definitely seen you use this language, which is like, look, this role isn't great, but like, you gotta eat, right? And I do think there is like, so I try not to judge. So I basically I do I weed out a lot of stuff. I weed out if something gives me weird vibes, it's gone. But there are still jobs that I wouldn't apply for or that I wouldn't necessarily recommend
But I still
to
post.
somebody that I post. And it's because I try not to judge from my seat. I mean, I'm in Seattle. Like my entry level salary expectation is much higher than most people in this country. And I'm very shaped by this particular job market as like a tech hub. So I try to like let go of that a little bit.
And you do a
Um,
good job, I think, in your newsletter because you poll people to ask like where are they regionally, right? And like what kind of
yes.
roles they're looking for, so
Yeah.
you can curate a little better for them, which I think is really helpful. Um, but yeah, like being cognizant of the fact that like I have expectations for myself that are maybe a little too high, and I could probably whittle them down a little bit, but like forcing my standard on someone else who actually really loves working like for a long time I didn't post entry level roles, and I'm like, but there I know there are people who one need entry level roles,
Yeah.
two like living in the queue and doing tickets and doing that work.
Right.
There's no reason for me to not post these roles. If I'm not posting, it's because I thought it was sus and sketchy and you shouldn't be dealing with this role.
Yeah.
But it does mean that I can expand like what roles and how many roles I can show to people.
Right. I mean, I've definitely, this isn't true if you go back and look at everything, but I would say in the last like 3 months, I will not post anything that is less than $50,000. It doesn't matter in the US. I, it's really interesting that like we're actually like one of the only countries that post salaries. Like, I'm surprised at how
Really
few Canadian and European jobs I find. And then, of course, like Latin America, Africa, Asia, they're not
yeah,
posting salaries at all. So I
interesting.
have no idea. And I also don't know what's like good in those regions. So I am a little bit laxer, I would say, for
Interesting.
outside of the US. But in the US, if it's less than 50,000, I'm not going to post it. And I know that's not right for everybody, but I think like you should be able to walk into a job for $50,000.
Yeah.
There's no excuse not to pay that. And then I do rarely post things for $50,000. So I would say like it's more closer to 70,000.
Yeah.
It would be my floor. And for support roles too, because I've seen support roles that are like, maybe they ask for a year of support, but sometimes they're like, do you care about people? Like, do you have a background? We will still pay you 80 grand. And I'm like, great. That's the kind of roles that should be shared. So that's how I kind of try to think about it. I do use salary a lot as a benchmark, which also means I leave out a lot of roles because they don't have a salary included. But
Yeah. I've gotten to the point where I will either report roles, especially like if I'm grabbing stuff off of LinkedIn, I'll report a role if it doesn't include a salary and it's specifically like listed for New York or California because it's
I love
illegal.
that. So it's illegal in Washington too. We successfully sued and won a trucking company that did it in the state of Washington. So I was like, they'll do something about it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like it's just criminal. But then even when they do, when they post $30,000, and I was like, I took a job for $30,000 12 years ago.
Years ago.
You
Yeah.
can't You can't
Yeah.
be asking somebody to I don't think that that is a workable wage anywhere in
I
this
don't think it's a
country.
living rate. I don't think it's a living wage. Like they expect people here we are on capitalism soapbox. They expect people to like have roommates forever. Or they expect people to be like married and not have kids and live in a place that is affordable for that kind of money. Like I don't really understand. Sometimes I'm not sure how I survived on 32K
I
in New York
know.
City, but I did it, and
Yeah,
that was like 15 years ago.
right.
But asking for that now when the median rent in New York is 4K is unacceptable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I try not to judge, but I do judge. I mean, I don't judge a job seeker, but I judge a company.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I do have a lot of smoke. Like this is where I'm always like working on my social presence because I'm like in my head, I'm like I'm a hater. Like I have beef, serious
We
beef.
can we can hate with ethics, Nicole. Like
I'm
hate
working
with
on it.
purpose.
It's
Hate with
really
purpose. Be
it's
petty with
really
purpose.
a learning experience to be to bring the smoke, but like not, but like be productive about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I thought you told me that you really like the way that I phrase things, and I was like, what? I think you just haven't seen my insane posts from like probably several years ago because I've been much more tame in like the last year and a half or so because I was looking for jobs. But like if you go back like 2 years, my I just shit post on LinkedIn. Like this is stupid. What is happening? Why do people do things like this? And also, at least I have like a Slack community where I can be absolutely insane
Yes, I do
when
think
I
I
need
think
to
it's
be.
key. You need like a private space to get out
Yeah.
the that, and then you can have a more polished present. But even like I think I don't know, like I'm still trying to figure out LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is a very new platform for me. I've only been
Well, the
like
algo
posting for this.
changes every 5 months, so like stop.
And I'm like, I'm never gonna be the person that was like, I had this thought, and I didn't post it. I'm like, maybe I should have. But I was like, here's what like playing Disney Dreamlight Valley made me learn about B2B sales. And I was like, I feel like that would crush. But it's like absolutely fucking nothing. Like, I'm just relaxing, dude. Like,
Yeah.
why are we posting like that? Like, the language on
I can't
LinkedIn is
believe people
so
still post like
specific.
that. I think it's wild.
Constantly. I just thought somebody, it was from a like best of LinkedIn account to be fair, but
Yeah.
they like somebody was like talking about the on LinkedIn the love between Charlie Chaplin and his 17-year-old wife and how that proves like love conquers all, and I was like, what platform do you think you're on?
Yeah. Hate it, man. The healthy.
Ugh, but it's just it is like I don't know. I don't. So I'm still trying to navigate it. I think I do think it's different than Threads, which is where I've like really spent
Yeah,
most of my
you
time.
told me that, and like I think that's wild that like you get so much from Thread.
I'm like over 10,000 followers on Threads, and it is what's weird is nobody really talks to me. I'll post, nobody
They just
replies.
engage.
They like and they subscribe like crazy. So I think there's like this kind of
What are you
hidden.
posting? What are you posting?
I mean, I'll share it with you, but like I just I'll post that my job drops are live, but then I'll post like about um certain job descriptions I see. I'll post about trends that I'm seeing. I'll post
Got
about like
it.
all like it basically probably what I would want to post on LinkedIn,
On
but doesn't
LinkedIn.
seem like it works. I don't know yet.
That's
Um
interesting.
but it is like people I so what I think is happening is they're like, trying to scroll it for personal use or for fun,
And it just
and
pops
they
up.
see it. And I do think like I think I'm very helped by my name literally being customer success jobs. Like to be honest, like I think that's a big key to my success is like it's super simple. Um but yeah, people just like they find me. It's still my biggest referrer. Still, like even as I feel like people nobody really engages on there. Like it's not a
That's so
discussion
interesting.
platform. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I just keep on going and try to translate some of that to LinkedIn, but haven't quite found like the right. It's weird because I have the company page and then my page, and it feels like a
I don't even do
disconnect, you
anything
know?
on my company page, which I know is wrong, but
I
can't
don't know.
be
It doesn't
managed
seem
and
to
have
get as
no
much
issue driven.
engagement.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you two advice questions.
Yes.
One for people who are job seeking in success, and one for people who are job seeking in general, I think. Um, for people who are job seeking in success and like just starting, maybe they're want to transition to success.
Hmm.
What is like, because you did that, what do you think is like the best advice for them, like in this like current environment? What is the move? What is success like right now?
Yeah, I think it's really, really difficult to get a job as a CSM without having been a CSM, just cold. Like it's not impossible. It's really difficult right now. They're so risk averse and there's less. I think they're just hiring less CSMs than they used to. So if there's opportunity to transition within an existing company, like that should be priority. If you're already gone, like, for whatever reason, I think then if you can speak to revenue in your current role, like then that can help a lot. I mean, I think the biggest thing we're seeing is like you have to showcase revenue impact. If you can understand how you had an impact on revenue in your role, no matter what it was, I think that helps a lot. But I just like to be totally candid to not have customer success manager on your resume right now in this moment is really a killer. Unless you're willing to go down, like sometimes I see associate customer success manager, and
Right?
that's, yeah, I've been seeing more of it actually. Which I'm like, I'm all for personally. Like, I love a
We need more entry level
training
roles no
program, I
matter
love a
what.
career
Yeah.
path. So something like that, I do have my break into tech section on my newsletter, which is where I highlight people who specifically, or jobs that specifically call out, we want you to have 2 years in hospitality, or we want you to have 2 years as an educator and no SaaS required experience. But I only find like 2 or 3 of those a
Yeah.
week. So there are roles that exist. The other thing I would say is that there are more entry level roles in onboarding. So an
Hmm.
onboarding is a clear path to CSM because a lot of CSMs require you to do onboarding.
Mhm.
So I've seen more entry level roles in onboarding specialist. Sometimes, usually, if it says implementation, it's a little more
Implementation.
technical, but onboarding, I've seen more entry level. So that could be a better way in than, just as an option. No entry level CSM roles, though, that I've like maybe occasionally the associate. Even then, they want SaaS experience.
Yeah.
So if you have SaaS experience, easier than not. So even working in support, like that puts you above the rest. But yeah, I think if you can, honestly, if you can afford to wait it out a little bit, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be better in the fall,
In the
personally.
fall.
I saw so many director and VP level roles for CS posted these past few weeks
Me too, for
that
support too.
I
Yeah.
think I think we are going to see a big hiring spree in the fall once these people get their teams together. So,
Interesting.
that's my prediction for now.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've talked to a few people in like including myself who've gone through like the whole rigmarole of applying and interviewing and then being like doing everything and then being like, oh, well, we're not hiring now, or things like that. And I do think that a lot of places are working on figuring out what their teams are.
Yeah.
But I do think they're like kind of abusing job seekers to do that right now, like through the interview process and figuring out, or like even just the applications, like they're collecting applications, like actually, this is not what we want. So we need to refine this a little bit.
Yeah, I do think the middle management kind of disappeared for a while. I think a lot of us felt were caught up in layoffs or like had reorgs or what have you in the last 2 years. And so I think this is a maybe a clawback to some of that. I don't know that we're replacing all of the jobs that were
No.
lost in this
Right.
level, but I do think there is a something isn't working about our customer org. We are reinvesting, we're restructuring, and so then I think downstream of that will be CSM roles. It's just, I mean, God, the hiring cycle for VP for director is going to be probably a bit, and then they need to get their feet under them, and then I guess early Q4. Um,
Yeah.
Optimistically, we should see a big push. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah. That's what it
Um,
looks like.
so yeah,
Well, amazing. Nicole, thank you. Um, let's see, what are all the socials? You're on LinkedIn, just your
yes,
name.
it's yeah. You can connect with me at Nicole St. Germain or go to Customer Success Jobs is on LinkedIn on Threads, and then customersuccessjobs.co is the newsletter.
The
So
newsletter.
you can subscribe and get those. They're completely free. And I send them twice a week, so every Tuesday and Thursday.
Thank you for being my first person on
Thank you for
phone
having me.
screen.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
honored. I feel like we could talk for hours.
We probably could, which is why I want you to come on Chatter and talk with me and stuff. And we'll
Yeah,
talk
I would
about
love
job
that.
stuff. We do that a bunch. Amazing. Cool.